What's good? Santi G, Black Flag. Ya tú sabes. You know what it is, man. So, this is Recognizing the Game, episode 10. And I'll be continuing part 8 of the Semen Retentionist Red Pill segment, right? I've spoken on, what it means to take the red pill and what it means from a spiritual perspective and coming into awareness of the system that we live in and the fact that we live in a society that is based on a lot of illusions. There are a lot of misconceptions as to what we are, who we are, and what's going on in the world. We have, the media circuit and social norms that are not necessarily serving any purpose, and they're misleading, and that's the intent that they have. But one of the things that's been on my mind is that when you come into this awareness, you realize how much responsibility you have to yourself. Those of us that come into spiritual awareness and we start stepping outside of the norms, we step outside of religion, we step outside of certain cultural practices of Western society and what is deemed normal, daily routines, because we no longer identify with them. We have a deeper understanding of ourselves. Within this coming to realization, some of us get called back into nature. You start engaging in meditation, you start studying and delving into things that once called you in the past or may have just grabbed your attention in the present moment. As you study, you realize how much you have how much you have to hold yourself accountable, because you have to reflect on the past and all of your experiences. You look at the choices that you made in relationships, in relationship to people, but relationships, certain ways of living that you engaged in, and you get to a certain point where you realize you have to honor yourself. And in that process, you're taking yourself back. The people on the outside looking in, they don't matter anymore, only to the extent that they're willing to learn and grow and seek truth. This is a part of self-evolution and a part of nature to seek to define oneself and assert yourself in life. When you look at nature and everything in totality, you see the birds and other animals tending to their purpose, living their life. You see different aspects of nature living in its purpose in life, fulfilling its role and its duty. It doesn't have to question what its purpose is. They're doing things without having to be told. They just do things from an innate understanding, and just as it goes. You may have heard this before, but the baby bird gets pushed out of its nest when it's time, and then it flies. Feel me? But we as human beings, in the modern world, we're not talking about indigenous people, and those who still live in a tribal setting and live one with the earth. But we as human beings in the Western society, in the quote unquote modern world, have been conditioned with all of this self-doubt, disbelief in oneself. And we're conditioned to be looking outside of ourselves and dependent on things for our sense of value or our sense of self that ultimately are not fixed or permanent. They can change. So as they change and they are no longer there to support you, who will you see yourself as once they're gone? And there are a multitude of experiences that can be the catalyst for someone becoming red pill. But the red pill is not to be caught up in dogma. It's about a level of spiritual awareness and coming to the realization of the fabricated world. And the only true knowledge that you can gain is from experience. Reading a book is one level of it, of having an experience. Traveling to a country is having an experience. Having a conversation is a form of an experience. There are many realms of experience. So as you go through your journey, you come into yourself. Okay. So in a lot of the things that I'm speaking on, when you look at yourself and you look at your life, you can understand as having already experienced these in some form of fashion. So you start separating yourself from what no longer reflects you. You honor yourself in that you honor those painful experiences in regards to relationships, and especially as men, because my channel is not about attacking women, but delving into an array of things. But self-development, self-actualization, and self-determination are the most important things for me. And I know that those things mean a lot to many people out there as well. With everything that I'm talking about, is self-driven. It's self-motivated. It comes from within me. And within this particular Red Pill segment that I did on Secret Retention, I was listening to a song by an artist named Aaron May. And he's a homie of mine that stays out in Houston. And he had a song that he dropped around this time last year called All On Me. And he was saying some real things in that shit, you know. So in terms of bettering his life and how he had to leave certain people behind, even having friends that lost their lives. And many of us have had that, you know, because I lost my younger brother. You feel me? So thinking about the people that are no longer here and just reflecting on those memories. So as you elevate and your reality changes, you no longer associate yourself with certain people. You know, you may get nostalgic and miss certain people who once meant something to you. You're going to miss people that played an important role at certain stages of your life. And you may get to a point where you grow from new experiences and those people no longer meant what they once did. And there are those people that you always hold fond memories of and you wish that they were still here. And then there are those that are gone. And once they're gone for good, especially if they didn't value you. You have to honor yourself and respect yourself and be responsible for yourself and what you need to do for you, what your wants are. You know, understand what your wants are because you are your greatest responsibility, you know, and I want people to be able to rely on themselves, have knowledge, but you shouldn't never depend or have this belief in something outside of yourself being the key to your salvation when that is contingent and based on your self-knowledge and knowing who you are from within. And that's what I mean by recognizing the game.
Spiritual solitude is a huge component in self-evolution. And when you want to evolve, or you are evolving, regardless if you want to or not, like someone like myself, who is developing clairvoyant abilities by the age of 20, because that's my genetic disposition as a Caribbean person, it comes to you. And you have to accept it. It says in many books, many esoterics, that it's going to come to a point where you're not going to relate to people anymore. And people are not going to relate to you. And the things that you used to share your time with, or anything, whether it be the parties, girl, the men I was with, the friends I used to be friends with, they didn't relate to it no more. So there was a time where I had to have solitude and force myself into solitude. Because I wouldn't try to play myself. If something wasn't right for me, I couldn't force myself in it. My body was rejecting it. My mind was rejecting it. My spirit was rejecting it. So I had to be